The cooperation between China and Russia has been upgraded again, and Russia is going to buy warships from China. Russian media commented that Chinese manufacturing is fast and good. Let's take a closer look in this video. Since the disintegration of the Soviet Union, the main shipbuilding industry has been allotted to Ukraine, and Russia's shipbuilding industry has plummeted, and it has not slowed down so far. The absence of the shipbuilding industry has also greatly affected the development of the Russian Navy, causing the Russian Navy to encounter a large-scale interruption in the construction of new ships. In fact, in recent years, both the Russian people and the government have suggested that the Russian Navy order warships from Chinese shipyards. It's just that Russia has never had a similar plan. However, some time ago, the Russian Kommersant disclosed a major news. According to reports, Russia intends to order 2 large hospital ships from China, and this proposal has also been supported by Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. However, the Ministry of Economic Development of the Russian Federation has made the opposite opinion. So why does Russia want to buy warships from China? Will China sell ships to Russia? Why does the Ministry of Economic Development of the Russian Federation have different opinions? As we all know, the industrialization of New China started relatively late. When New China was first established, China imported technology from the Soviet Union in large quantities. It can be said that the establishment of China's National Defense Force in the early stage, the help given by the Soviet Union played a vital role. Even in the era of Russia after the disintegration of the Soviet Union, China often imported Russian weapons and equipment. The most representative ones are the fighters of the Soviet 35 series, as well as the engines of various fighters. Now China's J-20 fighter jets are in service. China is the second country after the United States to have 5th-generation fighter jets. To some extent, it has surpassed Russia by one step. As for warships, at the beginning of the establishment of the Chinese Navy, it spent huge sums of money to purchase 4 decommissioned warships from the Soviet Union. It is said that the price of a warship at that time was as high as 17 tons of gold. This was the main ship of the Chinese Navy at that time, and it was also the beginning of the Chinese Navy's possession of large surface ships. From nothing to something, from something to excellence, the development experience of China's military equipment is such a process. Now Russia has begun to want China to build warships for it, which means that China has achieved a counterattack in the shipbuilding industry. Due to long-term sanctions and siege by Western countries, Russia's domestic economy has not improved much. It mainly relies on energy trade and nuclear weapons trade to maintain economic development. In recent years, Russia's economic situation has become even less optimistic. Coupled with the fact that the military has also been suppressed in various ways, the current situation of Russia's large surface ship construction is not optimistic. At present, Russia's only aircraft carrier is still in the shipyard, and it has been repaired for 4 years. According to this speed, it is impossible to appear in the short term. Among its 5 cruisers, the Kirov Class II ship has been entering the field for transformation for 9 years, and its appearance is nowhere in sight. The Peter the Great can be said to be the last pride of the Russian Navy, but it has been aging in recent years and has been lying in the port for a long time. And the worst, Moskva has sunk in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. It can be said that Russian surface ships are now facing a huge shortage, and the recent conflict between Russia and Ukraine continues to be tense. To continue to maintain deterrence, the Russian Navy's surface fleet has to update its equipment. As the second largest military power, it is impossible for Russia to purchase American equipment, but it does not have the corresponding capabilities in its own country. Therefore, Russia has the voice of ordering warships from China. The Russian Kommersant came out and suggested that the Russian army should hand over some orders for surface ships to Chinese shipyards. Because Russia's domestic construction speed is too slow, Chinese shipyards are good and fast. The naval fleet not only has warships, nuclear submarines, but also supply ships and medical ships. The Chinese shipyard built the largest and only hospital ship in Asia for the Chinese Navy, the Peace Ark. Why doesn't the Russian Navy order some non-combat ships from China? The suggestion put forward by the Russian media is much more practical than that given by many Chinese netizens. Different navies have different needs for these main battleships. The Russian Navy does need some main battleships, and those made in China may not be suitable for them. However, auxiliary ships such as medical ships and supply ships are used in similar ways in each country, and there are no systemic incompatibilities. Back then, the Soviet Navy also purchased auxiliary ships from Poland, Finland, and other countries. If the Russian Navy now orders these auxiliary ships from China, there should not be much psychological pressure on the Russian army. This view is also supported by Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, and the solution proposed by the Russian Ministry of Defense is to purchase 2 civilian passenger role ships from China, and then refit them in Chinese shipyards. Sergei Shoigu also said that if the order can be placed now, it will only take 3 years to convert the 2 civilian passenger role ships into medical ships, and even named one of the ships the Andreevsky. But the biggest obstacle to this proposal is not the defense budget that needs to spend 8 billion rubles, but that the Ministry of Economic Development of the Russian Federation does not want to introduce projects from abroad, and wants to keep job opportunities and money in Russia. But Sergei Shoigu believes that it is impossible to wait more than 5 years for the introduction of hospital ships. If it is handed over to a Russian shipyard for construction, it will only increase the cost significantly, which is not particularly cost-effective. There are certain reasons for this situation. In recent years, Russia's economic situation has not been optimistic, so it cannot spend extra money to order warships in China. One of the most important reasons why the speed of Russian shipyards is so slow is that funds cannot keep up. On the other hand, Russia can't let go of its own face. After all, China used to import weapons and equipment from Russia, but now it's the other way around, and Russia, as a veteran military power, can't hold back its face. Once this happens, wouldn't it be a public admission that its warship construction technology is not as good as China's? For Russia, this is not only a matter of face, but it may also affect its international arms trade. After all, if Russia allows China to manufacture warships, wouldn't it be good for other countries to buy them directly from China? Therefore, some Russians are unwilling to take this risk to buy Chinese warships. According to the actual situation, 3 of the Russian Navy's medical ships were built in the Soviet era, and the absence of auxiliary ships can be said to be quite serious. Although the shipbuilding factories in the Soviet era were basically located in Russia, these shipyards obviously cannot meet the needs of the Russian Navy. Chinese hospital ships are much better than theirs. The Chinese medical ship has a very strong hull built according to the standards of military ships, and because it adopts advanced shock absorption, noise reduction, and other measures and technologies, it has largely alleviated the vibration and noise problems encountered in maritime navigation. It can be said to be a quiet and modern floating hospital at sea. In the past few years, China's new generation of medical ships, the Nani 13 ship, was officially delivered to the Nansha Yongshu Reef Naval Port. The delivery of the Nani 13 ship will greatly improve the medical conditions of the military and civilians on Yongshu Reef, and the personnel of nearby naval vessels. At the same time, it will also undertake emergency rescue missions for international humanitarian rescue and nuclear disposal emergencies. The hospital ship was developed and built by China, and all the medical staff on board came from the 1st General Hospital of the Southern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. It has multiple professional departments such as internal medicine, surgery, ear, nose and throat, and psychological counseling, and has nearly 100 beds, which can meet the actual use needs of 3 operations at the same time. In recent years, China's continuous improvement in maritime rescue capabilities marks the establishment of a 3-dimensional maritime rescue system in the South China Sea. Rescue helicopters can also be carried on the medical ship at sea, and the emergency rescue maneuverability has been greatly improved. Compared with other advanced naval combat ships, the hospital ship is actually not an advanced ship, but it directly represents the soft power developed by a country's navy, and can be used as a business card of the Chinese Navy to visit all over the world, increasing China's international influence and friendship between other countries. So this is also an important reason why Russia considers choosing Chinese manufacturing. In fact, this hospital ship transaction is not a simple transaction, but also the exchange and cooperation between the 2 countries to upgrade can deepen the friendship between the 2 countries. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more great content. See you next time.